Hello! Welcome back to a Hopeful Holler Bakes podcast, a podcast all about the fiber arts, deep thoughts, and Blue October. I am coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas, and this is my friend's sheep farm. And by sheep farm, I do mean that they are the pets of the walkers. In this room right here is where I, Michelle Holler, of A Hopeful Holler Makes, works out with the shepherd's wife twice a week. And we've been doing that since March, and we're having a great time. So I try hard the last 3 episodes to be out here at the Camp Walker is what we're calling it. Hopefully one day we'll have a little fiber retreat or workshop out here and showing how to process wool straight from the fleece. They have Rambouillet sheep, straight from the fleece to a final product. And so I'm actually going to begin my podcast by talking about that. So I come in this morning for our workout, and Miss Maria, the shepherd's wife, has this for me. Do y'all know what it is? It's the Wall Street Journal. Twice in less than a month and a half, with everything that we have going on in our fiber arts community, as well as the entire world, so many very serious things. It just made my heart very happy to see this in the Wall Street Journal. From sheep to sweater in a record time. So that just made me super happy. Ready, set, knit. Winning times at the International Back-to-Back Wool Challenge, in which teams of knitters shear, spin, and, oh, I'm sorry. Did I mention I have dyslexia? Let me go back. Wool Challenge, in which teams of knitters shear a sheep. I've never sheared a sheep myself. I've received the fleece from the sheep, but not sheared it myself. Spin the wool and knit a sweater as fast as possible. So there's a whole article that you can see in the Wall Street Journal from June 29th, today, or this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So that made me happy. I will not be getting into all of the very important discussions that we are having in our community. Other than to start off my podcast the last day of June by showing a pair of socks that I made for my daughter. I am very proud of her. And I'm proud of every single human being who comes to find a place of peace within themselves, to be themselves, to love and be loved. I think that takes great courage. So, these are my beautiful rainbow socks, 2 completed rainbow socks that I made for my daughter. And so those will be a gift for her. Her birthday, her 24th birthday, is in July 15th. So at this time, 24 years ago, I was hot, H-O-T, hot, hot, hot. My only baby. So she'll be 24. That was the exact age I was when I had her, and it's brought about a lot of deep thoughts for me. And actually for her too, it's kind of blowing both of our minds that she has reached this age, and there's been a lot for me to reflect on. So we're not going to jump into deep thoughts just yet. I do want to show my 2 completed Bohemian Rhapsody socks. I mentioned last time on my podcast, I said the wrong thing. Anybody who knows Mustache Yarn and Suburban Stitcher Yarn will probably very quickly picked it up. This is Mustache Yarn, y'all. Lovely, beautiful, self-striping sock yarn. It's gorgeous. Suburban Stitcher, Diane, makes other beautiful yarns, but it's not self-striping like this. And I think I said the wrong thing, so I just want to clarify that. This is Stacy Mustache Yarns, and that's that. So those are my 2 completed projects. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I have a puppy, and her name is Sadie Grace, and we have been having all kinds of wonderful adventures. In fact, she's here with me right now. We'll see if I can get her to come over here and she'll make her little appearance. Let's see, let me get some food. So as I've, oops, my glasses. As I have been learning about dog training, I didn't grow up with dogs, really. My grandparents had a dog, but I mostly had cats. Sadie, come. Come. Good girl. Good girl. Come here. So learning all about dogs is a brand new adventure for me. And so this is Sadie Grace. Say hi. Sadie Grace's mama is a pit bull, and they think maybe daddy was lab. And she is one special girl. She is teaching me a lot about enjoying the moment. And she is my therapy dog, but she's going to be a therapy dog for other people. So my plan is to have her certified with Therapy Dogs International, and we will go into schools, hospitals. I'd really like drug rehab centers. I have a heart for that. And one of my big motivators, especially with her and her mother being a pit bull, is showing what can be done with love. It is not about the breed. It's about the lack of love and structure and discipline. She is a precious girl. I've even had people on the trails, petting her and loving on her, and then they ask, what is her breed? Say bye-bye, until next time, bye-bye. And as soon as they find out that she's a pit bull, they pull their hand back. And I understand, I understand the reason why. I just want to be part of the voice that helps educate on how important it is that a dog has proper exercise for them to have mental clarity. I'm just learning about all of this myself, but I can see day by day how that changes her. And I know how it changes me, and I know that the diet world and diet philosophies, I know the damage that sort of, mindset, of vanity and insecurity, brainwashing us to look a certain way, and all of the neurosis that goes with all of that, versus taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves in a very grounded way. It completely relates to dog training. And I obviously for myself feel like that's really important, because I over my life have struggled so much with mental health and being comfortable within myself. And so I feel like she is helping me heal, and hopefully, excuse us. Sadie, come. Sadie, psst. Come here. Sadie, come. Psst. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Come here. Hey. Psst, psst. Good girl. Good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. We will go out and hopefully help other people who maybe have had some of the same struggles as I have had in my life, and continue to work with. I've been very open about that for the last 20 years of my life, and I feel like it's a time in my life, getting closer to 50, that I share some things that I've been through, and hopefully help other folks. And Miss Sadie's gonna help me do that. So Sadie Grace, get it? Sadie Grace. Grace upon grace. So today I'm kind of all over the place, mainly because I don't feel like I have a ton of knitting, and I feel like my last couple of weeks have mostly been all about learning and bonding with my sweet Sadie. And not just learning about her, but learning more about myself and recognizing when I feel stress in my body and how to relax. Cesar Millan is one of the trainers that I've been watching on YouTube, and one of the main things that he discusses a lot is exercise, discipline, and love. So I'm going to take a minute and tell you about my one experience as an adult having my own dog, and it really connects to having our daughter. So our daughter is 24. She'll be 24 in a couple of weeks. And when I was pregnant with her name is Meredith, and when I was pregnant with her, I had a little Yorkshire Terrier. And I did all of the things that what I watch and see on all of these YouTubes. They recommend that you don't do. I didn't have boundaries for Toto, my Yorkshire Terrier. I was extremely emotionally driven. I didn't have a sense of knowing myself, much less directing my dog. And that's one of the themes that I keep picking up over and over, is having the sense of being the pack leader in your relationship with your dog, in my relationship with my dog. And so, to save a lot of time in stories, what ended up happening is my wonderful husband and I had some pretty serious arguments and troubles because I allowed Toto to claim the space of our bed, and so my husband would try to come to bed and the dog would rear his teeth and growl at my husband and lunge towards my husband. And I loved my dog so much, and I loved my husband too, but I didn't set the priority of my husband first and then the dog. And I was pregnant at the time, and I actually got this dog from the vet that I worked at. I was a receptionist at a veterinarian's office because I love animals, and I was very concerned about having a baby with him being so possessive of me. And it was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever done, and I made the choice to put that dog to sleep, and I was pregnant, and it, for me, was very traumatic, and I regret it, and I've had to work through letting that go over the years, because I love animals so much, and I thought, Sadie, come, Sadie, come. If I ever have, excuse me just one moment, Sadie. If I ever had another dog, I knew I needed to be prepared to work with that dog and to relax and be patient and teach that dog through leadership rather than emotion and affection. I knew that from my own experience. And then now watching Cesar Millan, I notice he says and confirms so much of what I experienced having Toto and having so much chaos in our home. Hi. And having Sadie has been a complete opposite experience, and I believe a huge part of that is because I am a different person. She is a sweetheart. We exercise, we walk a lot in the mornings, and then we play, and then we just hang out. And we do have our little training sessions, and a lot of times that's during our walk. And so I guess just one of the things that I want to encourage y'all out there, if you happen to have dogs, and even if you don't have dogs, one of the great things about this idea that Cesar uses is he says rehabilitating people and training dogs. And I've known for a good while, good girl, that when I come in contact with different people, I know I can sense how they feel. I've always known that about myself. A counselor once told me that it was porous. I've heard empath, highly intuitive, things like that. And I came to a point in my life where I recognized I can't use that as an excuse to be so sensitive, to be hurt by the world, and be a victim to every passing feeling that I have. And so this, over the last 20 years again, has been a process. And so I keep coming back to that 20-year idea, primarily because on June 28th, that is a day of significance for me in my own recovery story. It was the day that I mentioned on the last podcast that I cried out in recognition that I could be a different person. But I really had to trust and believe this vision and this insight, this download, this idea I had of this new woman that I would eventually become. And it wasn't overnight, and I'm still a work in progress. And I see it now as the human story, and I see it in literature, and I wonder sometimes why it's not discussed more. It just seems like an exciting thing for us to ponder and think about and embrace. And it's something I've always enjoyed talking with women specifically about, one-on-one generally. But here I am on my podcast talking about it. So primarily, again, because I have this dog. She's going to be a therapy dog. We'll do this together. And I'm just using skills that I've built on over the years. And I covet any prayers, happy vibes, good vibes anybody has out there. Or if anybody knows of great training tools, I am open and happy to receive those, because I don't know much in the way of certain things with dogs, but as far as people, there are certain things that are the same, especially as it relates just to myself. And I think every human in energy and knowing our feelings and sensing our bodies, these things I've learned through yoga, and I think it just all works really well together. So once again, we just jumped into deep thoughts. But if you follow me on Instagram, I warned you about that. Not a whole lot of knitting this episode, mostly deep thoughts. And I do have a project, a work in progress. I told you about last time, the Joji Locatelli shawl, Jody. This is a very quick and easy shawl to finish before the cold settles in. Worked in DK weight, this shawl grows faster than you can imagine. You will need 3 skeins of yarn in a progression of colors. I chose a luxurious blend of alpaca and cashmere for extra warmth and softness. Says Joji Locatelli. She was the designer, obviously, as beautiful as she is right here. So I mentioned the lady that I purchased the yarn from is Christina of Serenity Yarns. She is a local dyer here, and she and Joji look a lot alike. Eventually I'll post their pictures side by side, but she's so lovely. And this will be a shawl that I'll be teaching a class on at a local, new to us, yarn store that I am a teacher for here in Fort Worth. Right now she owns a pink camper named Pearl, and that's my friend Julie of Juju Knits. And so Christina has designed this beautiful yarn for me. Let me lift this up. And this is, you can now see the lace. And this is a chocolate and cherries colorway. All 3 of the colors are somehow related to chocolate and cherries. I've mentioned it on some of the other previous podcasts. So, what I'd like to talk about now with deep thoughts and knitting is humility. So, a big part of my walk in faith, as well as my recovery is humility and a sense of understanding. For me, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to know all the things. I don't have to do it perfectly. Not to say that I don't still have that nagging voice, negative Nelly, that says you should, especially now that you have a podcast, but I don't. I know that's the truth. And the reason I bring this up right now is because I had to take out 18 rows of this beautiful shawl. So this will be the top part. It's kind of hard to see since it's still on the knitting, on the needles. But taking out 18 rows. And why? Why did I have to take out 18 rows? Because I wasn't focused. Because I have a puppy. Because I wasn't realistic about what I could do with a puppy, paying attention to her, paying attention to my knitting. It was divided. So I finally just put this down for a little while and then only worked on socks, and that's how I was able to get these completed. So focus, again, that comes back to my own walk and knitting and dog training and relationships, and so that's been very helpful for me to recognize, just breathe, put it down. No one's paying me to do this. The world is not going to end if I don't finish this on a certain day. So I just ripped it all out, put it aside, and knit on the socks. But now I'm starting to make progress again. So hopefully by the next time I podcast, I will have this shawl complete. And that makes me happy. So I do have another work in progress. Shocker upon shocker. It is Mustache Yarns Rainbow Explosion. So hopefully you can see how fun that is. So it has a fun little speckle stripe in between those 5-row repeat stripes. And these socks will be for me. My husband said something really fun. He said, if I found a shirt, just a regular shirt, like a cotton shirt, in all those colors, I would totally wear it. And I said, I bet you were. You would. He's a CPA, and sometimes they get a bad rap for being less than adventuresome with their color. But he's also colorblind, so maybe that kind of, maybe he thought about, I don't know. But anyway, he loved these colors. But these are going to be my socks because I think they're so fun. And immediately I think of the year 1983, 84. I remember these colors being super popular. Do you know who I really liked during those years? Was Punky Brewster. And before Punky Brewster, there was Pippi Longstocking. These are the people that I was a fan of when I was a little girl. And so Misfits, Mix Match, random, bright, different, unusual, those things have always called out to me. So anyway, it's no surprise that Rainbow Explosion would be a favorite of mine. So again, thank you, Stacy of Mustache Yarns in San Antonio, Texas. She makes great sock yarn. So upcoming events, I cannot think of any that I will be attending. If you have some that you recommend that I should go to in the area, please let me know. I know that Houston Fiber Fest is coming up. Again, I feel very uneducated on so many things in our knitting, crochet, fiber arts community. I've spent very little time on Instagram recently because of my wonderful, amazing time with Sadie Grace in our training and my working on my own patience and having a good time with her. So I just don't know a whole lot that's going on out there. And what Blue October song do I want to leave you with? I think we'll just do a fun one for today. How about Coming Closer? It's kind of a sexy song, I think. I like it. It just makes me happy. I like to groove to it. And it's just fun. Coming Closer by Blue October. So if you need a little spice in your life, there you go. This is a short podcast. I don't have a whole lot, like I said. That is really it. Let me think of a dog tip that I could give you that I haven't already. Here's my number one dog tip that I guess I have already given you, but I'm just gonna give one more suggestion. Is if you have a dog and you're having obedience issues of any sort, my main go-to right now is exercise. Like, get your dog some exercise. For years, even without a dog, I heard somebody say it once and it just really inspired me. A good dog is a tired dog. So I've applied that to myself for a long time. And I don't just mean busy, like the addiction to busyness. I mean really engaging mind, body, spirit to get to a point where you're fatigued. The brain just works so much better in humans as well as dogs, and so that's what we've been out doing, and it has made our life a little bit easier. So before she had all of her shots, she was chewing the wall, so she would have all of this energy, that wanted to go someplace, and I would, give her a chew toy or something like that to play with, and then before I know it, she'd be back fixated on the wall, on these little plastic clamps that cover our wires for our TV. And so, hallelujah, this was the week we were able to get out on the trails and walk around. She can meet other dogs, meet other people, and life has become so much easier. So, anyway, that's my number one tip for today in my adventures of amateur dog training. Get your dog some exercise, have fun with them, get out there, be in nature, and enjoy that very, very special bond between you and your dog. So I am going to lift this up and you're gonna see the sweetness that she is. There she is. Say bye, Sadie. All right, more Sadie updates in the future. Until next time, remember, everything is better with wool and a podcast. And I hope you're taking care of yourself and each other. Bye.